While Johann was continuing his meaningless struggle, Yuki tried to understand Maribel's thought process. In the end, he realized that this plan had a higher chance of success than he had first imagined. It makes sense. With that, we can draw Demon Lord Milim away to fight our own battle. Rimuru-san wouldn't be able to intervene. It would be great to isolate the Demon Lord. Haha, smart boy, how very smart. And while Demon Lord Milim is distracted by that toy, we will focus on controlling Rimuru-san, is that correct? Yes, that's the idea. But I have one concern. You mean the Storm Dragon? Impressive, indeed. If we fail to dominate Rimuru-san and cause Veldora to lose control, what should we do? If their target resisted more intensely than imagined, and they had no chance of controlling him, Yuki would have to kill Rimuru. Yuki was afraid that things would lead down that path, and tried to hint at the possibility. Yet Maribell seemed to have expected this as well. You don't have to worry about that, Yuki. There's no need for you to worry about anything. Just focus on how to defeat Demon Lord Rimuru. Yuki was unable to disobey Maribell. He could only follow her order. I understand. If you say so, I shall trust you. Maribell nodded after hearing Yuki's answer. Maribell had a thorough understanding of the affairs in this world. It came from everything Great Elder Granbell had taught her about Demon Lords. If Demon Lord Rimuru were to be eliminated, Storm Dragon Veldora would start ravaging the land. Surely, Demon Lord Luminous would figure out a way to deal with the Storm Dragon. No, paradoxically, that would be better than allowing Demon Lord Rimuru to exploit the current affairs. Demon Lord Rimuru and Demon Lord Luminous formed an alliance. This meant that Demon Lord Luminous had handed the running of the Western nations over to Demon Lord Rimuru. The Queen of Nightmare that saw humans as mere food had until now handed that mission to the 7 luminary clerics. Yet, it did not last. With the fall of Granbell, the 7 luminaries had fallen as well. Granbell lost the protection of Demon Lord Luminous and could no longer reign over the Western nations with her strength. Surely, in the future, the power of Hinata the Saint would only increase. By manipulating Hinata, Demon Lord Rimuru's system of domination would be set in stone. I cannot allow that to happen. And for that cause, I'd subject the whole world to the threat of Veldora. Maribell made a resolve in her heart. After this, Maribell and Yuki paired up to initialize a detailed attack plan. At this point, Johann had no room to intervene. He could only pray for the success of their plan. Thus, the Magians cautiously planned out their malicious assault to eliminate Rimuru. After the lengthy meeting, we met up at the cafe. Changing out of the suit, I was back in my casual clothes. Since our business here was done, I could just use spatial movement to go back home. But Souei had not brought back the culprit yet. Afraid that something may have gone wrong, I decided to stay a little longer. By the way, the meeting was super tiring. The Prince of Ingratia, Elric, forced his way in mid-meeting. There was also that middle-aged man, Gavin, pulling the strings. Moreover, there were all those counselors who were on their side. Things ended up in failure, causing all of them to be stunned. Gavin seemed to be a noble of high standing, yet he was taken away by some dangerous guys called Magical Inquisitors. The other counselors enjoyed diplomatic immunity, but with the document I provided, their home nations would probably judge them. Disgrace was all that awaited them, no doubt. They seemed frightened by the gravity of the situation, but they got what they deserved. Even though I wasn't part of the ruckus, some people were still looking down on me with their noble mindset. If these people were innocent, I wouldn't hold them accountable. However, after taking one look at the ledger, I realized they were all corrupt to the core. That's why I wanted to use this opportunity to punish them and send the ledger to their home nations. Now that it had been done, even those rude idiots would get taken care of. Some people used their position as counselors to enrich their personal lives. For the good of the future, it was best to make them disappear. I sipped on my coffee as I reflected on the meeting. Anyway, a lot of things have happened. Thankfully, Hinata and Shuna got pissed off first. I'm the Demon Lord after all, it's not exactly appropriate for me to go and deal with them. I didn't get pissed off, I just thought that they were rather rude with their diplomatic approach, and wanted to teach them a bit about manners. Me too, Rimuru-sama. I was merely punishing those rude individuals. If I had really gotten mad, I would have made them disappear from this world, not a speck of dust left. Hinata and Shuna both gave off a smile. They were so synchronized that it was scary. To such a ferocious response, I could only nod and reply, I see. To be honest, this has been a great experience. Benimaru interjected. It's nothing, but I was so angry that my head went blank and didn't know how to let out the anger. Had Shuna not done anything sooner, I would have burnt every human in that room to ash. Phew. Hearing this, I almost spat out all my coffee. I thought that Benimaru was just quietly observing on the side. I was even impressed, thinking that he had become more mature. But in reality, he was just so angry that he forgot about himself. What a waste of my praise. Or perhaps it was a close call. Had I let him go on a rampage, we would have become the nemesis of humanity. Oi oi oi, you, do not do something like that, absolutely not. Hahaha, I was just joking. Benimaru tried to get past the conversation with his bright laughter, but he couldn't fool me. This guy was serious. Before the next council meeting, we must nominate a counselor for our nation. I needed to be cautious about the candidate. As we chatted, I finished my coffee. Rimuru-sama, I have captured the culprit Souei reported to me. I knew he would do just fine, it looked like he got the job done. As always, he was so competent and did his job perfectly. The culprit was a very strong enemy. She didn't announce her name after I demanded to know, so her identity is still unclear. However, she did call Rimuru-sama the master of the asshole demon. That was okay. There was no way a professional assassin on a mission would reveal her identity like that. Though, was the asshole demon she referred to? Was she talking about Diablo? I believe so. So that's how it is. Diablo didn't report this back to me, but since even Raisin was a cheap shot in his book, it was very likely that he didn't feel the need to mention her. At times like this, I was forced to realize, yet again, that Diablo's standards were pretty weird. That Raisin guy was so strong as to be called Imagine. According to Hinata, there wasn't anyone stronger than Raisin in the Western nations. To call someone like that a cheap shot, Diablo had some odd measures. I needed to educate him more about this kind of common sense. Trying to memorize all these points, I ordered a second cup of coffee. Shuna, Hinata and Benimaru were having black tea with cakes. Benimaru, even you ordered it. In that case, I wanted one too. Fruitcake was the best. I tried to persuade Souei to order some too, but he ordered hot coffee from the staff. The waitress was blushing as she left. Souei didn't seem to notice, drinking the coffee without adding anything. This guy sure looked handsome just sipping his cup. While I was feeling a close kinship to Benimaru, who enjoys sweets, I got the detailed report from Souei, the perfect handsome man. That was how it went down. Souei's report was done by the time I finished the second cup of coffee. I shared everything Souei saw through telepathy net with everyone else as well. It looked like Souei managed to draw out all his opponent's tricks. Even though his target was an amazing beauty, Souei didn't spare any punches. This kind of reminded me. There was some online game in the past where you could cheat through game exploits. You could change your health points to infinite, giving your opponent the hope of winning while you grinned behind the screen. I'm so close to winning, that was the most sinister thing to make your opponent think. And your opponent would try so hard during the fight, using every last one of their items. That's exactly what Souei did, but he must have been trying to get relevant information about the culprit. Fine, this was not a video game we were talking about here. Moreover, espionage was all about testing out what your opponent had in store. So, Souei did nothing wrong. In fact, I should be praising him. Good work, Souei, you sure are amazing. I tried out some methods I learned from Rimuru-sama. It was surprisingly effective. Indeed, at times, it is important to pretend as though I am having trouble in battle. Oh yeah, now that he mentioned it, I did say something like that to him. I recalled that it might have been the plot of some spy movies, or was it video games? Didn't really matter since I seemed to have forgotten about it. Sorry for calling you sinister just now, I apologized to Souei internally. Ahaha, looks like it helped out, how wonderful. Not entirely, I am still not strong enough. 3 of me clones were eliminated by her. Is that so? Anyway, now we've got dirt on them. Indeed. Please leave interrogation work to me. Interrogation, eh? What to do now? While I was mulling it over, Hinata interjected. I wasn't going to say this, but I imagine this will come out in time anyway, so I'm just gonna bring it up with you guys. Souei-san's opponent, that woman, was one of me subordinates. Although I do not know what sort of power she has hidden, her skills were surprisingly problematic. No wonder Lamar was beaten. With bullets appearing so close to him, he probably wasn't able to react. So, who's this guy called Lamar? Sorry. That guy used to be my subordinate, an ex-3 martial sages. He lost to that woman called Glenda and became her subordinate. Maybe Hinata could dodge a bullet that close to her, but most people couldn't. There was no doubting the danger Glenda's skill posed. Hinata gave a rough explanation, saying that the assassin's strength was at sage level, and was strong enough to battle a demon lord seed. No wonder she was that ridiculously strong. Moreover, she sent one of Souei's clones flying. Was she using a grenade? Do you mean the exploding ball? Yes, that's it. It doesn't seem like magic. I assumed that it was a weapon from another world. Answer. It is likely that the individual Glenda used mana to craft it. It may be slightly different, but with skills such as weapon specification, one can construct weapons from memory. With weapon specification. So not only does she have sniper skills, she even had a trump card, like that. By the way, if it was the authentic weapon specification, she would have been able to reconstruct weapons from her memory perfectly. Yet what Glenda had recreated didn't seem delicate enough and could only act as a pale imitation. Nonetheless, it still posed a threat. I thought so as well. Even though I've not seen the real thing, it was just like how it is described in the movie. In other words, Glenda could be an otherworlder. I think that may be the case, because she seems to have used her memory to recreate these weapons. As I proudly explained this, Hinata looked at me suspiciously. How do you know that? Busted. I had yet to publicly disclose the existence of Wisdom King Raphael-san. Right now, I could only try to play dumb. I shouldn't have pretended that I knew all of these things. I tried to come up with an excuse to deal with Hinata. It's instinct. When you reach my level, your instincts become super sharp. My words evoked looks of admiration from Benimaru and the others. It really warmed my heart, but I also kept on peeking at Hinata. Never mind. Putting that aside, can I interrogate her as well? If it is truly Glenda, I have something to ask her. Sarah and Grigori both haven't returned. I'm guessing she may know what has happened to them. Looks like she ignored me. If she had things to ask Glenda, she should go ahead. We weren't going to hide anything anymore, unlike what Xian did last time that was too excessive. Glenda's claim suggests that she had fought against Diablo in the past, but she managed to run away early on. As for the matter regarding Prince Elric, it actually didn't concern us anymore. That's why, if she was willing to be honest with us, we didn't plan on doing any harm to her. Moreover, Souei said that he had already let her have a taste of fear. Not physically, but mentally. Surely, Glenda's pride must be in tatters. That said, whether we should let her go was also a difficult choice. She was stronger than we expected, so it would be dangerous to just let her run wild. In any case, it didn't seem right to hand her over to the Kingdom of Ingratia. For now, I figured we should keep her. Okay, are you coming with us? I asked Hinata. Then do indulge me, she nodded. Anyhow, depending on her attitude, we would decide what to do after we checked up on her. On that note, we decided to switch venues. By the way, I was the one to pay the bill at the cafe. Yesterday as well. I didn't really understand why Hinata slipped her bill to me. Should I forgive her with my generous heart, or should I be salty about it? But then again, I didn't want to be considered stingy. To be annoyed by something as minor as this, I must be a petty bourgeoisie. On my way home from Ingratia, those were the thoughts running through my head.